common thing. Did you talk to Big Meech, or did you send a message to Big Meech in any way to tell him or to alert him of what was going on?
We sent Big Meech certified mail. Big Meech sent me up, and Tammy sent me up with the...
Big Meech just got put on full blast, and the receipts straight up, and after 50 Cent pulled out some paperwork hinting that Meech might have played the snitching game, the whole internet lost its mind. But here's the thing, where did 50 even get all this so-called proof? Turns out he's got some old BMF associates in his corner, and they're running their mouths like they got something to prove. Now check this people out here. Whispering, talking, you ain't heard what's up with her, but the real story, Big Meech ain't having none of it.
Well, did Blue Da Vinci cooperate or no?
Yeah, he cooperated. I mean, I didn't say it. It was in Miss Mara Salute's book, where his own lawyer said, yeah, if there was anything else that we could do, Your Honor, to help you along with this case.
There are rumors swirling that Big Meech is about to give 50 Cent a front row lesson on how a true kingpin handles contempt and betrayal. This isn't just some petty back and forth. Street legend status is on the line. And that's what makes this situation so ugly. 50 Cent has built a reputation for using huge stacks of cash to expose people. And once he locks onto someone, he doesn't let go. But this time, he might want to think twice, because Big Meech isn't just some average guy from the block. He's Demetrius Big Meech Flenory, the mastermind behind the Black Mafia family, and his name rings bells from coast to coast. Let me break it down for you real quick. He was born in the 1970s, not the 1980s.
Homeboy that was with me, he was like Tone Bird. He from BMF too. Tone was like, ask Big Homie what's up with the movie with 50. Like, what's going on with him from New York? I had to use my New York accent. Yo, what's going on with the 50 Cent movie? So I'm like, oh, yo, Meech, what's up with the movie, with the TV?
When the early 2000s rolled around, Big Meech and his younger brother Terry Southwest Key Flenory entered the game heavy, pushing serious weight in the form of $50 bags. By then, they had transformed their side hustle into a nationwide empire, stretching from Michigan to Georgia, Florida to California, Louisiana, and way beyond. That kind of insane money flow was bound to catch the Fed's attention. So Meech and Terry came up with a genius cover-up. They launched BNF Entertainment. On the surface, it looked like just another hip-hop promotion company, but behind the scenes, money laundering was in full swing.
It's believed that Terry White grew up in an Atlanta housing project. But when FBI and GBI agents arrested him last night, he was living here, a sprawling $200,000 mansion in Jonesboro.
Had a media room where there were 24 TV sets on one wall hooked to a satellite dish. And you could hit a button and all 24 TVs.
Now here's the twist, BMF Entertainment wasn't all smoke and mirrors. They actually had one artist on the roster, Blue Vinci. In 2005, he even dropped a whole album called The World Is Bumps, but by October 2003, the feds ran down on Meech, snatching him up and trading his luxury lifestyle for a prison jumpsuit. And back then, most folks pointed the finger at Blue, calling him the snitch, because out of everybody, he looked the softest.
My client would be more than willing to cooperate with you all to help you in this investigation. But now the thing of it is by you admitting what was done, you know what I'm saying, what you done or whatever, but bottom line is, you know, you didn't take the single plea. You went in and...
Not to mention that when the feds came crashing down in 2003, they grabbed Meech, put him in handcuffs, and took him away. Blue Da Vinci wasn't even taken with the rest of the BNF gang. Straight in, but Blue managed to escape being caught in the same net. By 2004, however, things had gotten even messier when Dexter Sosa Hussey, the head of BNF's logistics department, began disparaging Blue Tap.
I wait to holler at Tammy before, you know what I'm saying, I know where we at with that, and Tammy is a government informant. So when he said that, I was like, Tammy, what you mean, Tammy? Like, nigga, you ain't heard what's going on?
Additionally, Sosa was speaking on court documents when he appeared in court with his attorney. The attorney told the judge, "Your Honor, I forgot to add something earlier. You asked about which defendants tried to cooperate. And one of the individuals that tried to cooperate with the government was Mr. McKnight, who is Blue. They debriefed him, but it turned out that he didn't actually know anything helpful about the other defendants.
Was giving them information on that they already had and thought it was cool, but you know, that was part of that. You just confirmed other that the other CIs just done told.
And to make matters worse, the lawyer confirmed that Blue Da Vinci's debriefing wasn't even new tea. It had happened months before that court appearance. But here's where it gets even wilder. The lawyer also revealed that Blue had completed a safety valve session earlier that week, meaning he was ready to talk. But he had nothing valuable to offer. So yeah, Blue tried to snitch, but the feds didn't even want the crumbs he was serving. That's when the real question hit hard. If Blue didn't have the inside scoop, then who did? And this is where things go off the rails. News about Anthony Capone Cowan changed the entire narrative, revealing the true source of the leaks. And that's how Tammy Cowan's name exploded into the mix. Tammy had been Meech's business partner since 2008, and even after he was locked up, she stayed loyal, keeping in touch, handling his errands, and staying in his corner. Meech trusted her so much that he signed over his life rights to her, meaning she had the legal power to tell his story to the world. And guess what? She cashed in, partnering with 50 Cent to co-produce the hit 2021 show BMF. But here's where everything unraveled. According to leaked court documents, Tammy wasn't just doing business. She was playing both sides. The files claim she was an active confidential informant, CS1, working with the DEA's Atlanta division back in 2009. And it gets worse. Tammy allegedly provided information that led to the takedown of Terry White, a key player in the money laundering game. And here's where things get downright crazy. Tammy wasn't some scared informant flipping to save herself. She had no criminal record, she wasn't facing charges, and she wasn't pleading for a lighter sentence. She started talking to the feds for free, but after she helped them take down Terry White, the DEA saw her potential. That's when her handler, a DEA agent named Parsh, offered her a deal, a cut of the assets seized from White's operation. And if you know anything about these kingpins, you know those weren't just pocket change assets. We're talking cars, stacks of cash, mansions, and more. The craziest part? Tammy wasn't broke. She wasn't scared. She wasn't even trapped in the game. So why did she do it? Essentially, the federal government admitted that Tammy Cowans was one of the strangest informants they'd ever seen. But the real question is, why did she do it? Here's the raw truth. Terry White had been using Tammy to launder his dirty money without her knowledge. And when she finally found out, she didn't just walk away, she flipped the entire game. This wasn't about money or avoiding prison. This was personal. Tammy was playing for revenge. But here's where it gets even messier. If this was just about getting back at Terry, then why did Tammy keep leaking information even after the feds had already locked him up? Hold on, because this next twist is crazy. Inside prison, Meech crossed paths with a cartel heavyweight named Fidel Suarez. This wasn't some street-level hustler. Suarez owned a trucking company in California and had already been on the feds' radar for years. They had arrested him twice, once in 2005 and again in 2009, on drug trafficking charges, but both times they couldn't make anything stick. Despite being locked up, Meech had a master plan. He wanted to use Suarez's network to keep product moving while he was behind bars. If he could keep the pipeline open, the money would keep flowing, no matter how long the sentence was. But to pull it off, he needed someone on the outside, and that's where Tammy stepped in. According to official documents, in September 2011, Meech called Tammy, who was identified as CS1, and asked her to help set up a major delivery, one that Suarez would handle. At that point, Tammy and Suarez were already in direct contact. What started as a casual check-in call from Suarez quickly turned into something way bigger. With Tammy now locked in, Meech made her the middleman to connect Suarez with his longtime associate, Diane Cuffy Gatling. And Cuffy wasn't small-time either. He was a major player, and according to court records, he ran a serious operation. From 2009 to 2014, Meech, Suarez, and Cuffy were quietly moving massive shipments across state lines. But the whole time, they had a snake in the garden. Tammy, who was secretly feeding every move back to the feds. Because of her inside reports, law enforcement had enough dirt to take down Cuffy on March 13, 2014. By the time it was over, Cuffy was hit with a 27-year sentence for drug trafficking and weapons charges tied to a deadly deal. But here's the most shocking part. Meech was never charged for setting up the entire operation. And now, everyone is asking the same question. How did Meech avoid getting indicted when his fingerprints were all over it? Here's the shocking twist. According to official transcripts, during a court hearing, Tammy was directly confronted about paragraph 8 of the investigative report, which stated that CS1, Tammy, had told investigators that Meech personally coordinated the entire operation. But when they pressed her in court, Tammy didn't even flinch. She flat out denied it. And when they doubled back, pushing harder, asking if Meech was involved at all, Tammy straight up lied to protect him. After that stunt, the feds put a huge red flag on Tammy Cowan's name. They realized she wasn't someone they could trust anymore. But here's where things got even messier. Tammy wasn't just tangled up in the case, she was also getting way too close to one of the DEA agents assigned to it. She denied everything, claiming she had nothing to do with setting up the multi-kilo cocaine deliveries from Suarez to Gatling through her. But the truth? Tammy was playing every angle like a chess master, and that little affair, it nearly derailed the entire case. Eventually, it all started falling apart. Then, in March 2015, things took a dangerous turn. Tammy discovered that Gatling's legal team had filed a suppression motion, and this motion was a ticking time bomb because it could expose her identity as the confidential informant. And Gatling wasn't just some street-level dealer. According to official records, Diane Cuffey Gatling was convicted of ordering the murder of a man named Theus Howard back in 2010. All because Howard snitched on Gatling's brother and his drug operation. And that wasn't even the end of it. In 2013, Gatling's name came up again, this time tied to another murder, a hit on a man named Terrence. So when Tammy realized that her name might get exposed, she knew she was in real danger. If Gatling found out she was the one feeding the feds information, it wouldn't have just been bad news, it would have been a death sentence. And when Gatling discovered that a man named Morgan was about to cooperate with the feds, he made sure Morgan didn't live long enough to say a word. Tammy was terrified. She ran to the feds, begging for protection, but they brushed her off like she was nothing. With nowhere left to turn, Tammy made a desperate move. She went straight to Big Meech himself. For years, she had ridden for Meech, but when she needed him the most, he was nowhere to be found. Meech's only words to her. He said he didn't want his name involved in any of it. He wasn't about to get his hands dirty or draw Gatling's attention. The last thing he wanted was his name showing up in court documents tied to this entire disaster. That cold dismissal. That was the final straw, and after that, Tammy flipped the entire script. Tammy, also known as CS1, went into full cleanup mode, doing everything in her power to erase Big Meech's name from the case completely. She even dragged the DEA agent she had been playing into the mess, accusing him of being jealous of her bond with Meech. According to court records, Tammy went so far as to threaten sending an unsworn affidavit to everyone involved in the case, including the judge and attorneys, where she directly challenged the statements in the wiretap affidavit that claimed Meech was behind the entire Gatling-Suarez drug operation. And as wild as her moves were, Tammy kept pushing one story. That Agent Chroma, the same agent she was sleeping with, only threw Meech's name in the mix because he was bitter about how close she was to him. But once Cuffey was locked up, it didn't take long for him to figure out exactly who snitched on him. And when he did, the game was over. Cuffey demanded a frank hearing, a legal move that gave him the right to question his accusers directly. That meant everybody had to face him, including the government agents and informants. And yes, that definitely included Tammy. Then, in 2014, Blue Da Vinci sat down for another bombshell interview with Cap Capone. But this time, he wasn't alone. Cuffey was brought in straight from prison, and he was ready to talk. And he didn't hold back. Cuffey exposed the real reason Meech never got hit with the full weight of the case, and let's just say, his words hit hard. As I always say, if you kick it with a known snitch, your name gets dirty too, no matter how solid you claim to be. That's just how the streets work. And for everyone wondering why all this old dirt is getting dug up again, you can thank 50 Cent for that. The moment 50 started talking, the entire internet was locked in. And he's not done yet. 50 has already threatened to drop an explosive, all-inclusive story that will lay out every single dirty move Meech has ever made. And according to 50, this will prove, once and for all, that Meech has played both sides and cooperated with the feds. So now, we gotta ask, is Meech really guilty? Or is this just another 50 ploy to push his own agenda? Either way, the streets are watching, and this story is far from over. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And remember, am I a snitch or am I 50? Just stirring the pot. Hit that like, share, and subscribe because the next drop, it's gonna be even crazier. See you then.